Hi folks, this is Nikhil and you are learning GoLang with me. So in last video we have seen how to make use of primitive data types in GoLang. We have seen how to declare var or how to use shorthand operators, and then we have also gone through the different data types such as int, float 64, uint, string, bool, and so on. Now in this video I'm gonna talk about the custom data type and then the conversion that is allowed in GoLang. So let's get started. So the first obvious question that anyone would be asking is, Nikhil, tell me, why do we really require a custom data type in GoLang, or why is it necessary? Because in many of the languages it's not there, because uh, generally programming languages are really rich in terms of providing primitive data types and then providing composite data types. So most of the times you don't face a situation in which you have to create your own custom data type. So um, let's just take the use case of timestamp. So let's assume that you have a timestamp and then you want to store the minutes, you want to store second, and then you want to segregate each of the entity of the timestamp into different variables. So either you can make use of int or let's say float 64 in GoLang to store your fraction of a second, or um, um, let's say minute rounded to the nearest value. But then in that case, if you are making use of int, then the possible values, I'm talking about the int at, then the possible values range from minus 128 to positive 127. So negative 128 to positive 127. And if you take the minute, then the possible values range from 1 to 60. So either you need to add a rule or if condition or a switch or uh, something like this, so that you have a check whenever whenever there is an assignment of a value to the minute variable or a variable that represents minute, then the possible if condition is, if the value is not in between 0 to 60, then or 1 to 60, then just raise an exception. But then that's not the appropriate way of doing the same thing, because if something is already provided in the language just to take care of such situations or such use cases, then why to rely upon the if condition or the roots? So that's why in GoLang, as I have been saying since the beginning, that it's the language of the modern era. So you know all of such use cases, because these use cases are in front of you. So that's why in GoLang there is a custom data type, and that's what we are going to see. So just start with this simple application, and then let's say it is custom data type. And just to keep the thing simple, let me just declare a var of x, and then let me say that it's of type int, and then in the main method let me assign value to the x, and then I say value of x So we know this part already, because we have already seen this part in detail in last couple of videos. So this is the regular int data type. Now let's say if I want to declare another variable y, but I don't want to make use of the int, because I just want to do something that I refer to as our use case for this particular video, which is storing a minute value or storing the hour value or storing a second value, so something like that. Then how can I have the custom data type, so that in that custom data type I can write my own rules, I can write the if conditions or something like that. So in that case, GoLang provides type, custom data type feature. So you have the type, and then over here you say my type, and then you also need to give the underlying data type, because it has to be based on the primitive data type or the composite data type, which are inherent in the GoLang. So let's say I want to make the int as the basis of my new data type, which is my type. So I say type my type and int, and then I declare my variable with this data type. So let me just add the comments for the readability. So declare a new data type named my type, and it's based on the primitive data type int, and then over here declare a variable y having data type, having my type as the data. Okay. Now once I declare variable y as my type, then I can simply go on and like the int, I can also assign the int value to y, and let me just print it. So I need to add one more. So let me just print the value of y. Then you can see that the value of y is 200. And can I assign y with x? Because if my type is based on int, then as x is also int variable, it makes sense to assign x to y. Now it's not really allowed in GoLang, because of the obvious reason that GoLang is statically typed, so you cannot really assign my type to int, even though my type is based on the int, because for GoLang it really does not matter what is the underlying data type, as you cannot assign a string to the int, and as there are two different data types involved, it is not simply allowed in statically typed language, because if you allow something like this, then that's the contradict, because you are not obeying the rules which you should be obeying, otherwise it creates the mess. So that's why there is another feature in GoLang, or that feature is present in almost any of the languages. That feature is the conversion. Now most probably you might be aware of the casting. You cast a Java variable like a long into int or vice versa, so you have the boxing and auto boxing features, but that really deal with the conversion or the casting under the hood. But in GoLang, the cast word does not really exist. In GoLang, people prefer to call conversion, and if you visit the GoLang spec, then you can find the conversion and not casting. So if I just want to do conversion, then what are the rules? So there is a different chapter for the conversion. A conversion changes the type of the expression to the type specified by the conversion. A conversion may appear literally in the source, or it may be implied by the context in which an expression appears. So basically, the bottom line is you can also make use of the expression something like 2 plus 3, which is the expression, and then you can convert it into the different data type, which is allowed by GoLang. That's the rule. So what are the rules? Which data types can be converted? So um, all of such policies are there in this particular spec. You can go through the spec afterwards. I will give the example for the my type. So conversion of my type variable into int, it's possible because int is getting used as the underlying data type. So scoping point of view, my type belongs to int, so that's why such kind of conversion is allowed. So how to do this conversion? So now you want to assign y to x, right? So let's say if I have x, then I will make use of int and then y. So if I do something like this, then automatically my y gets converted into int, and then I can see that give me the value of x, which should be 200 now. And if I print the type of x, then it should remain as int. So it's %t / n and x. If you don't use the proper method, then you are bound to get the exception. So you can see that it's int, and conversion of int variable into my type. Let's see whether it works. So I just want to do the exactly vice versa operation. So I want to take y, and I want to make use of my type and x, and then the value of y. Okay. So you can see that the x is assigned to y, but we just change the value so that you can see the difference. Otherwise it's not easy to see the difference. So you can see that I can assign x to y, I can assign y to x, because of the fact that my new data type is based on int. So the general rule of thumb is, unless and until you have any use case such as storing a minute value, storing an hour value, unless and until you have such kind of use case, don't just make use of the custom data type, because there are many primitive data types available in GoLang. There are composite data types available in GoLang. So there is no such need to make use of the custom data type unless and until it is really required. So that's it in this video. So in this video we have learned how to make use of the custom data type in GoLang. What is the necessity of having such kind of feature in any of the programming language, and then how to make use of the conversion feature in order to convert the int data type to the custom data type which is based on the int, or the vice versa. So that's it in this video.